Why is it that one American meal feels like it could feed my whole village back home in the UK? But no, if we're being for real, today I'm talking about food and the differences in the UK to the USA, because there's a lot. I've talked a little bit here and there about food, but I feel like I haven't hit every point, and I haven't just talked about food in one video. So I got a really nice comment from, I don't know, I'll put it on the screen if I can find it, but I really like that comment, so thank you for leaving it. And I'm going to go through literally every point they asked, because I think that's all really relevant and good ideas, and I think it would make a good video. So thank you to the person who commented it. I think the first thing we're going to go into is obviously the portion sizes, since I clearly have beef with that. No, I'm joking, but from my hook you can tell it's definitely different. I expected this and knew this coming into America, but the portion sizes are a lot larger in America than in the UK and maybe even in Europe. That is definitely a thing a lot of people talk about, so I wasn't not expecting it, but I was obviously still a little shocked. So going to restaurants and stuff, we have to be careful not to order too much food. I remember the first time that we got here, we literally ordered, I don't know, obviously it depends which restaurant you're at, but we ordered like 2 or 3 starters and then each a main meal, and honestly, so much food. Like the starters alone would have fed us twice. So when it got to the main courses, I was like, no, we are done, we are cooked, we're not finishing all of that. I feel like, to be fair, this restaurant had bigger portion sizes than a lot of other ones I've been to, but as a whole, the portion sizes are definitely a lot bigger. Like a kid's meal will definitely fill me up. But I did want to break this stereotype, because I think obviously every place you live, there's going to be people that eat a lot more than others, or people that eat a lot less than others. And I don't think you can blanket a whole entire country, especially one as big as America, come on now, that they all eat the same, because they don't. I'd say, at least from what I've noticed, like Americans don't literally eat this whole huge portion size you're seeing. Like often they'll go to a restaurant expecting to take food home and expecting to have leftovers, and if not, they will like order maybe a main course to share or whatever, like they'll share with someone else. They are not literally going and ordering like buckets and plates full of food and just, you know, eating that all themselves. So I think that's definitely a difference. Back home, I feel like you wouldn't get asked, or you wouldn't plan to go to a restaurant and box things up. You'd go and you'd finish the meal. Like I'd never had anyone asking me to take things home, but primarily because I'd never had stuff to take home. I would have eaten all my food, finished it, and have an empty plate, and that would be about it. But here, I think it is designed in that way. So literally every restaurant you go in, you are asked if you want to box food, if you want to take it home. And that is just the normal here. So it's definitely larger portion sizes, but it doesn't necessarily mean people are literally eating all of that food in one go. Okay, next would be on the tipping culture. I've definitely mentioned this before, but especially on food, it is crazy, and it was something that really gave me a culture shock, you could say. In the UK, we just don't really tip on meals very often. Like there isn't an already programmed thing. Like when you pay here, it will already have 15, 18, 20, 25, whatever percentage tip on it, and you click which one you want. Obviously you can click no tip, but usually people don't do that. And in the UK, we just never had that. Like maybe at a fancy restaurant, you'd get asked to tip. They wouldn't have set options, like you'd kind of pick your own. And I feel like you'd only pick that if it was like a huge party, 6 or more people, then maybe you tip. But we didn't tip much back home. I did learn from workers, people online, and people that I've met here why tipping is such a big thing. So basically, like the service workers and people that work at the restaurant get a very, very low wage, so they do heavily rely on tips. So when they said that, that made complete sense to me. It didn't like really like clock to me that that was why it was like that, and I was kind of just like confused why everyone was asking me to tip so much. So obviously ever since we got here, actually, we've always tipped. We go out for a meal or anything like that. I will say, I don't know if this is a controversial thing or something I'm gonna get hated on, but one thing that really annoys me when I get asked to tip, and that I don't tip at, is when you're at one of those food places where you literally buy the food, or like say you've got a drink, you pass it to them, you scan it, then you pay for it. It's like you pay for stuff at the counter when you've gone around and picked it all up, and then they'll ask for a tip. I don't usually tip on that, or if I do, it's very low, because I just think like literally that's all that's happened. Do you know what I mean? And like I think at some points it is taking the mick a little bit, but let me know if that is wrong and that is something I should start tipping on. But obviously if I go for a meal, I'll definitely tip, because I understand the workers need the money, they deserve the money, all of that. So yeah, I'd say just basically when you look at the menu, that price isn't the final price. So if you're getting a more expensive meal, maybe just make sure that you could budget in tipping, or you're expecting that at the end, so you don't get shocked and then think like, I actually can't really afford or don't want to like splurge that much on this meal, because you didn't like account for like maybe the 15, 20, that you'd have to tip. Next, they asked about new flavours and recipes in the UK versus America. I think this is also a really cool question to ask. Obviously, in my head, American food and UK food were going to be pretty similar, and I think in some cases they are, but there is definitely a lot of differences. I'm going to put my hands up and say this because I get hate for it all the time, but I don't care. I do like the food back home. I do rate a lot of the food back home. A lot of people tell me it's like bland, unseasoned, boring, all of that, which honestly, I agree. UK food as a whole is bland, unseasoned, and can be boring. We don't have really any exciting food combinations or anything like that. But a reason I think I like some of the food, obviously like some of the food I don't like, but that's just anywhere. The reason I like a lot of the food back home is because when I was younger, I think now I will literally try like any food at least once. And I'm not like a super picky eater, but back home I was definitely a picky eater. Like when I moved here, it's really expanded the food that I eat, but also I was just obviously younger back home. So I was definitely a very picky eater, and there was a lot of foods I would be like scared to try or didn't want to try or whatever. So especially when I was very young, I'd want to eat very bland, plain food. So I think that's why that's a lot of my comfort foods or favourite foods come from the UK, because I've grown up on that. I was a picky eater. It was like a safe option for me. So I think that is why I hold that like special place in my heart, and I low-key get offended when people diss on British food a lot. Like honestly, come on, a roast dinner with Yorkshire pudding and gravy, which isn't the same as the gravy here. It just slaps and it does not compare. But I will say overall the seasoning and stuff here and just flavours and variety of food is a lot different. It's really helped me expand what food I eat, and I've liked so many more foods coming here. I know people say there's a lot of cuisine in England, like you can get a wide range, which you probably can, but I think it depends where you go. Like it's hard to find a wide range in like little towns or like not in the city centres. Or whereas here I feel like wherever you live, unless you live really, you know, rural countryside area, it's pretty easy to find. There's definitely a wider range of foods, and I feel like the foods are more authentic than they would be back home. I'd also say just as a whole, UK will stick to more classic, basic, not a super variety of foods, whereas whereas America will try like some crazy combinations, and weirdly enough they actually taste good. So there's a lot of weird combinations I like now that if I would have told myself before I moved here, I actually would have thought I've gone insane, which maybe I have, I don't know. Okay, then food culture overall. I'd say here I feel like people eat out a lot more and get drive-through takeaways a lot more, and there's a lot of reasons for that, and there's a lot of reasons for why I do that now too. So if we're gonna regard, you know, getting food out more, I'd say first of all, again, where I lived back home wasn't in a city centre. It was easy to get to a city centre, but there wasn't a lot of restaurants. Obviously, if there's not a lot of variety, you're not going to go out as much. And I think here, literally everywhere you go, there's like huge like car parks that are like mini shopping centres with just like food. And they all have drive-throughs too, so it'll be like Chick-fil-A, In-N-Out, Chipotle, whatever, like all of them, even stuff you've not heard of before. So obviously convenience is a main point for that. But I'd also say there's a lot more, especially drive-throughs here, not even just restaurants. But not even that, I think the reason we get takeout food, I say a lot, we actually do cook at home a lot, and I cook for myself a lot, is because there's actually healthier options. I feel like back home, because we don't have as many drive-throughs, especially a couple of years ago, like the main ones are like kind of like McDonald's and like foods like that. It's more just a treat. You wouldn't want to eat that every day. And I do try to eat pretty healthy. I do sports, I'm an athlete, all that, so I do kind of value my nutrition quite a lot and take that like decently seriously. So I don't want to be just like eating McDonald's 24/7. So that I feel like there is healthier options here for drive-throughs. So if I'm gonna go for a drive-through and there's a healthier option and it tastes really good, like obviously I'm gonna do that more often than I would say McDonald's. So I think that's definitely a reason I go to drive-throughs more over here too. Overall, I feel like in the UK, if you're gonna go out for food or, you know, go to a restaurant or get a takeaway, it feels a little bit more like a treat. Obviously it's still very much a treat, but more occasional and like not something you do too often. But here I feel like I do it decent amount. Obviously it's very much still a treat, but I think when it's just so easy, it's hard not to go to these places. When we first moved, we would go and eat unhealthy a lot because there's so many new takeaways to try. What's it called? Fast food places to try. So we went through a bunch when we moved, I will say. Side note, this reminded me, one thing I definitely get a lot more, and my parents get a lot more, as in like every morning over here, is Starbucks. I have Starbucks in the UK, but I can't describe it, like especially the fruit drink tastes so much better over here, so we definitely get that a lot. So I'm gonna put my hands up and admit that one, because we get Starbucks pretty much every day. But yeah, I feel like I'm just waffling now, like I'm just going on about random points, but I feel like I could honestly make even another video just about food because it's like a huge thing. Obviously everyone eats and we need it to survive, so it's like definitely a main thing and main difference I've noticed. But that's what I'm going to talk about today. Thank you so much to the person that left that comment. I really liked the points you asked me to go into and to explain, and obviously that's literally the reason I filmed this video, so credits to you. Yeah, thank you to everyone that's been commenting. Also, a little side note, I think it'd be crazy if I didn't say thank you so much for 1,000 subscribers. You guys have just been so sweet. Obviously I've had some nasty comments, but overall I've had really kind comments and interesting comments of people sharing their perspectives on what I'm talking about. This has been a huge change in my life to move somewhere so far away from home. So I want to voice it, I want to talk about it. I think it's really cool and I love hearing people's opinions about them. So anything you have, let me know in the comments. And again, thank you so much for 1,000 subscribers. That's been a little goal of mine for a long time, so I'm really excited that we've hit that and I'm hoping we grow even more. Yeah, I hope to see you guys in my next video. Thank you so much for staying and watching this one.